G'day guys, it's Jar here and welcome to something that I've been wanting to do for a little while now, and it is to break down the Australian stereotyping, because I don't like it, sick and tired of it, had enough of it. So we're going to watch a couple of videos. This one is 10 amazing facts about Australia. This one is 19 interesting facts about Australia. And then 10 things you didn't know about Australia. And 10 weird things that are common in Australia. So I'm going to see if they're true or false, and then tell you guys if I think that they're, well, true or false. Let's do it together. And if you're an Aussie, please let me know, because shout out to all my Aussies. Let's go.
Welcome to Top 10 Archive. As we return to our trip
Also,
around
just want to
the
have a quick
globe,
clarification. I am not making fun of these people who are filming the videos. I am just expressing my opinions.
As we digitally travel to the land down under, we're going to meet 300 jolly surfers. We'll see what Mama's got cooking for all your Wally siblings. We'll yabber about some boomers, and we promise there isn't a Buckley's chance you'll be disappointed. This video, as Australians would call it, is the Dinky D.
Hold on, let's stop it here. What the hell's a dinky D? No Australian that I am currently aware of goes, oh, I'm gonna watch this video at the dinky D. No. You see me, right? Hi, Aussie here. Has been for the past 16 years. Will be, forever. Don't speak like that. We have some ridiculous Aussie slang words, does not mean we use them. Okay? It's as simple as that. I'm just pointing that out. Let's continue.
Number 10, Australia's innovations.
Okay. Can we just take this back just a little bit? I just want you to all listen just for a teeny second.
10, Australia's
It's Australia. Say it with me now. Australia. Say it with me now. Australia. Australia. Not Australia. It's Australia. Pretend the U is not there.
Innovations.
Thank you.
Many people likely don't associate Australia with innovations, or really anything outside of
Australia.
kangaroos, but the country has been home to some great innovators. Some of the earliest inventors were Australia's Aboriginal population, who invented the boomerang some 10,000 years ago.
People.
In the 20th century alone, Australian inventors were churning out products that we still use on a regular basis today, such as notepads, configured by stationer J.A. Burchell, Dr. David Warren's black box flight recorder, and the Power Strip, originally developed by Peter Talbot. Other notable firsts include the first feature-length film, The Story of the Kelly Gang, the first refrigerator, and more locally used items like the didgeridoo, a wooden musical instrument. For the girls watching this, you know those Ugg boots you love so much? Yep, that's right. Thank Australia the next time you slip them on. Number 9, famous Australians. Sure, we all know Heath Ledger, Jeffrey Rush, Kate Blanchett, Paul Hogan, Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman, and Mel Gibson as certified Australians. But there's more that hails from down under than great Hollywood talent. 2000 Sydney Olympic winner Kathy Freeman, who took gold in the 400-meter run, did her country proud, as did 1973 Nobel Prize winner Patrick White. Radios blast out tunes from the country's musical stars, Keith Urban, Kylie Minogue, and Olivia Newton-John, as our eyes are treated to works of art by artists such as Brett Whiteley, Pro Hart, and Norman Lindsay.
I'm just going to quickly stop there. We play more music other than just those people. Just to clarify, we play music from around the world. And by that I mean like a lot of music that's popular, or I don't really listen to radio that much, but depending on what radio station you're on, depends. We have some radio stations that are, you know, playing music from the 80s. We have some music stations that are playing music that comes out now, or even some who are just like talk shows, and some that are simply just a mixture. So we don't have just those three people, I promise.
Let's also not forget the stunning personality of Steve Irwin, who personified Australia for much of the world.
Okay, no, he didn't personify Australia. He was just the only person who was brave enough to do something as stupid as wrestle a crocodile for fame. Bless his heart, R.I.P. He's an amazing person. We all love him and we dearly miss him. He is now passed away. Much love to him and his lovely daughter who was on Dancing with the Stars, Bindi Irwin. Bless life. And your brother, Really great people.
Number 8,
Continue.
Australian cuisine. Don't let Outback Steakhouse fool you. Australian cuisine is far more interesting than a blossoming tray of onions and steaks.
For starters, if you go to the Australian Outback or Outback Steakhouse or whatever in America or anywhere else in the world, 0% like Australia. Their accents are horrible. Their food is actually pretty good, but I mean, like, nothing on there is Australian. I went there, and they spoke to me like, "Oh, g'day, mate. Where are you fellas from?" And I was like, "I'm from Australia." And that's not how we speak, and she walked away. Let's continue.
In fact, for a restaurant that prides itself on its down-under style, it's missing a well-known Australian staple, Vegemite. Beyond the yeasty food paste, indigenous and more traditional Australians are known to dine on the witchetty grub, a wood-eating larvae. Should an almond-tasting insect not whet your appetite, maybe something sweeter like lamington or smokier like barbecued snacks will hit the spot. Those crazy Aussies are also known for their love for meat pies, macadamia nuts, fantales, Tim Tams, Wheat Bix, and Anzac biscuits.
Okay, I don't know what that thing was before, showing a Tim Tam. That is not a Tim Tam.
Number 7, tourist attractions in Australia. As you should and can expect with any country you've yet to travel to, Australia is home to quite an array of attractions and sites worth making the trip for.
True.
One of its more notable buildings is the Sydney Opera House, a venue for concerts, local theater, and so much more. History buffs may enjoy visiting the Shrine of Remembrance, which was built to commemorate and honor the 19,000 Victorians that perished during the First World War. Thalassophobics are going to want to stay away from the Great Barrier Reef, but anyone with a keen interest in nature should get a kick out of this system of 2,900 reefs and 900 islands.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm an Aussie, and I have never been to the Great Barrier Reef. My uncle swims there almost every week. It's part of his job. Like, come on, really? I really want to go. How beautiful is this place?
Additional attractions include Port Jackson, Blue Mountain, Tasmania, and the Great Ocean Road.
Okay, it said attraction was Tasmania. Tasmania is part of Australia. It's like saying America's tourist attraction is Hawaii. We're connected. It's just a little segment of Australia just floated off.
Number 6, Australia's wildlife.
Oh, koala.
We may have seen some of Australia's indigenous wildlife tucked safely within some cave, but there's nothing like seeing them in their natural habitat. Critters like the Tasmanian devil, a tiny creature Mel Blanc turned into a whirlwind of a beast, or the equally cute wombat. We'd be doing a disservice to not name the expected animals like the kangaroo, koala, or baby-eating dingo.
That happened one time, okay? One time, and we still don't know if it was a dingo or if it was the woman, alright?
But we also don't want to leave out the tiny kookaburra or the long-nosed fur seal found on the southern coast of Australia. There is, of course, the myriad of deadly creatures like the cone snail, cassowary, stonefish, just to name a few. Oh, and how did we forget the platypus, the beaver's ugly cousin? Or is the beaver the platypus's ugly cousin? Well, actually, according to experts, they aren't related at all, as the platypus is only related to one other animal in the rare monotreme family, the echidna. So yeah, that joke didn't go as expected. Blame the writers. Number 5, Australian Gold Rush. The United States of America isn't the only country to have experienced a gold rush. During the 19th century, specifically 1851, Edward Hargreaves stumbled across a small speck of gold near Bathurst. Post-discovery, Hargreaves dubbed the gold site Ophir, was named commissioner of the land, received a life pension, and inadvertently started a gold rush in Australia. By 1852, 370,000 immigrants landed in Australia in hopes of cashing in on the boom in mining. As it usually is when money is involved, tensions rose between the miners and authorities over goldfield licensing, leading 1,000 men proclaiming an oath at the Eureka Stockade to defend their rights and liberties. After intervention from Melbourne troops, 22 of the 1,000 were killed and Eureka was reclaimed. Number 4, Australian ballot. In 1856, the states of Victoria and South Australia introduced a new system of voting that many countries still utilize today. Dubbed the Australian ballot and later the secret ballot, this voting method made it possible for voters to be able to cast a ballot in privacy. As the protection of the voters became a growing concern across the globe, the United States and parts of Europe adopted the Aussie means of voting. Traditionally, the means of privacy is a ballot box or booth of a specific dimension. The voters are given uniform cards and a uniform means of marking said card. More modern voting methods have turned to electronic methods, which tend to be under constant scrutiny in the United States. Number 3, Australian holidays. Despite being seemingly in its own world, the country of Australia and the people that devote themselves to it have experienced loss during some of the world's most trying times. To commemorate those that gave their lives during the First World War, which is the first major military action fought by both Australian and New Zealand forces, Aussies celebrate Anzac Day. Anzac Day specifically points towards the landing of Gallipoli on April 25, 1915. During the battle on the peninsula, Australia saw a loss of 8,000 soldiers against the Turkish defenders, who wound up pushing Allied forces into a defeat. For both Australia and New Zealand, the battle molded a legendary image for the members of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. Number 2, World Records. When it comes to world records, Australia isn't exempt from these feats, even when it comes to comedic value. In December of 2015, some 320 Australians took to the waves, breaking the record for most surfing Santas at one location. In November of 2015, David Richards broke a record for most bulbs on a Christmas tree by stringing 518,838 LED lights on a 22-meter or 72-foot tree in Canberra to raise money for families affected by sudden...
Canberra. Canberra. Say with me, Canberra. Canberra. Not Canberry. Okay? Thank you. Well, sorry, I just wanted to double check a fact. Yeah, April 25th. Alright, I want to double check because for some reason I had a mental blank and thought Anzac Day was different. Continue.
Infant death syndrome. On March 28, 2008, daredevil Robbie Madison broke the record for the longest motorcycle ramp jump at 106.98 meters, or roughly 351 feet, at the Krusty Demons Night of World Records at Calder Park Raceway in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Number 1, the Island of Misfit Boys. When you don't want someone in your presence, you find a way to banish them. In 1788, England did exactly that by deporting approximately 763 convicts to Australia, which was to act as a prison colony. Over 50,000 criminals in 60 years were brought to the land down under, but it was about more than rehabilitation. In fact, it was widely believed...
Okay, quickly clarifying here that all original Australians were Aboriginals and we have respect to them. So all of the white people were convicts.
By England's upper class, the criminals were defective, could not be rehabilitated, and simply needed to be separated from those that lacked such defects. In this colony, prisoners were not kept behind bars, but conditions were grim. Sadistic volunteers from Great Britain oversaw prisoners, kept strict rules, and harsh punishments. Do you have an idea?
Okay, they went that. Oh, yeah, they were pretty harsh punishments. Alright, next one is going to be this one.
Funny Cave. 19 interesting facts about Australia. Number 19, there are 3.3 sheep for every one person in Australia. Number 18, Nullarbor Links is an 18-hole par 72 golf course and is the world's longest golf course. It's located along 1,365 kilometers or 848 miles of...
Okay, considering that I live here in Adelaide, how have I never heard of this? I thought it would have been like Northern Territory thing.
The southern coast of Australia. Number 17, Australia is the only continent in the world without an active volcano, which is good because Australia has got more than enough animals and insects that can kill you without having to worry about volcanoes. Number 16, Tasmania has the cleanest air in the world. Number 15, despite being a sports-loving nation, Australia is one of the most obese countries in the world with a 26% obesity rate. You call that a stomach? No, this is a stomach. Number 14,
Okay, the only reason is because, hear me out here, A, we're lazy. I'm gonna go downstairs. we're lazy people, and B, it's because we have all of your American stuff, for example, like, well, McDonald's and all of your crappy food joints, and we now have Aldi's and Costco, so of course we're gonna get that.
52% of living Australians have an ancestor who was a convict. But today, Australia is one of the safest countries in the world. Man, their ancestors must be spinning in their graves. Number 13. The dingo fence in Australia is the longest fence in the world. It's 5,614 kilometers, or roughly 3,500 miles long, and was originally built to keep dingoes away from fertile land.
It was also originally built as well, if you have watched the movie. I think it's called The Longest Fence. I'll have to fact check that in a second. I watched it in class or whatever. It was also to separate people, because when the white people came, they were mad and took the Aboriginal children away and used that to separate. And it was, I have to double check what that's called actually. Movie with the sent. What kind of type of Australia I'm just gonna write sand because it's just easier. Because I know we're a huge desert country, so I'm very curious. More than 85% of Australians live within 50 kilometers, which is very true. I'm pretty sure that it's more sand than vegetation, but I'll allow
Number
it for the
1.
moment.
Australia was the second country in the world to allow women to vote. New Zealand was the first. And that is it. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments.
And New Zealand lives right next door to us, so sucked in the rest
Australia
of
is
you
in many
guys.
ways an odd place, home to strange wildlife, as well as being situated geographically far away from what anyone might consider the West, yet being an incredibly Western nation culturally, with much in common with both the United States and the United Kingdom. A country such as this virtually demands that we bring you the 10 things you didn't know about Australia. Australia has some of the most unique wildlife in the world, but the reasons for this are as interesting as the fact of their presence. Approximately 99 million years ago, what is now known as Australia completely separated from the then supercontinent Gondwana, where it was to remain geographically isolated from the rest of the world since that time. As a consequence of this, many types of animal life took highly divergent paths of evolution when compared to fauna found on other continents due to their isolation. Most people know of marsupials, which are pouch mammals, but few know of monotremes. Monotremes are egg-laying mammals that are only found in Papua New Guinea and Australia uniquely has 2 of them, the porcupine-resembling echidna and the bizarre-looking platypus. Monotremes are sometimes seen as a cross between reptiles and mammals because of their physiology. For example, they lay eggs and have a lower body temperature than both marsupials and placental mammals, but also have fur and lactate, which justifiably earns them the classification as mammals. Most uniquely of all, the male platypus is one of the only mammals to produce a venom which can be injected from its hind spurs and is deadly to its prey. Few other mammals in the world have this feature, which is why, coupled with their other strange characteristics, monotremes are one of the great wonders of Australia.
If you travel by boat without a visa, you will not make Australia home. It is the policy and practice of the Australian government to intercept any vessel that is seeking to illegally enter Australia. The rules apply to everyone: families, children, unaccompanied children, educated and skilled. There are no exceptions.
Australia is a developed country with one of the toughest immigration policies in the world. Unlike Europe and the United States, where people just seem to enter and leave as they please, Australia has a strict vetting process and fiercely guards its waters to prevent unwanted immigrants from entering. Since illegals have to come by sea, they're sometimes referred to as boat people, which is why most of the prevention takes place on the high seas. Because of this, Australia has come under the fire of criticism by both other countries and internally. However, supporters of strict immigration policy stress the fact that it is allowed for the maintenance of a healthy economic and cultural integration compared to other countries. Whichever side of the debate you might stand on, the Australian government has been firm on this issue, with the motto being,
if you come to Australia illegally by boat, there is no way you will ever make Australia home.
After
okay,
Australian
hold on. Considering I've never heard of that, sorry, I've never heard of that. I've heard of Australia is very strict on we're very strict on our borders, and if you come in, you must have a permit or a visa. Simple as that. If you come and you don't have a visa, we will take you to a different place, like Easter Island, for example. Don't get mad at me in the comments. This is not my fault. It's the government's. If I could change it, I would, but you know, the government does whatever it does. I don't even know anymore.
Soldiers had returned home from World War I. Many decided to take up farming for a living. Unfortunately, after a time, the Great Depression hit, which made making a living by farming very difficult, somewhat further compounded by the fact that large flocks of emus, which are the second
I'm sorry, can we just go back a second? That was really funny.
second largest flightless birds.
No.
The fact that large flocks of emus.
Emus? Emus? It's emus. 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 You emphasize the M. Emus. Not emus.
Which are the second largest flightless birds in the world after the ostrich.
Also, fun fact about my family and I, before I was born, my mum and dad were Mama J and Fanara were kind of at like this farm, I guess. I don't really know what you call it. And this emu stared down my mum in the eye and like bolted off my mum. And I just remember my mum telling the story. She was like running away from it and hid behind dad. And the emu just stood up against dad like this, looked at it, and just walked off. It was the funniest thing ever that I have heard. Now I always make fun of her and go like this when she's like waking up and go. I love it. Sorry. Continue.
Numbering in the tens of thousands, took to foraging in the newly established farming locations, and this proved ruinous to the livestock and crops. This led to the Great Emu War, where large contingents of military personnel were given machine guns with the idea of mowing down the emus en masse. However, this proved difficult as the emus continually evaded attempts at herding them together, and the machine guns lacked range. And so after 2 major attempts, efforts were given up and the emus continued their destruction. After declaring war on the emus, at the end of the day, it was the Australians, not the troublesome birds, who had lost the Great Emu War. Australia has some of the worst internet of any developed country, unfortunately, and took rank 44 in internet speed behind virtually every other Western country, and far behind places such as South Korea and Japan. Part of the reason for this is that Australia has largely failed to upgrade to the new common fiber connections used throughout the developed world. This seems like a minor inconvenience, but the truth is, it slows down both business and pleasure, with downloads and uploads moving at an agonizing crawl, while other countries get the same amount done in a fraction of the time Australia requires.
And now you wonder why some of my videos don't go up, or they're late, or videos like this don't work.
There's been much talk of national upgrades, but when that will happen, well, only time will tell. So next time you're in Oz and want to download a game from Steam, just leave your computer on for a few days. It might get done sometime later in the week.
Okay, it doesn't take days. Okay, it's not that long. It just takes maybe an hour. I know, I have lots of Steam games, thank you. Not as many as that though, but I have like a lot of Steam games. The thing is, it doesn't take awfully long. It just depends on where you are, that's all. It never takes that long.
Not many people think of steak when they think of Australia, but Australia has some of the best beef in the world. In 2015, Australia won the Best Steak in the World challenge, but that is just the tip of the iceberg because Australia has a huge variety of meats to choose from. Beef, lamb, chicken are the conventional ones, but kangaroo, emu, crocodile, and others are readily available as well.
Yep, true. We eat beef, lamb, there's chicken, there's pork, kangaroo, emu, crocodile, obviously your fish. What other meat is there? I think that's all they eat. me, I can remember I just listed
The
what they
great
said,
variety,
whatever.
coupled by the great accessibility, makes Australia one of the #1 stops for meat lovers in the world, where it is both cheap and accessible. Australia
It is
might be
very
a
cheap.
westernized country, but in many ways, that is where the similarities end. Because unlike the West, Australia is home to some of the most dangerous and venomous animals in existence. The inland taipan
Yep, and
is
people.
considered to be the most venomous snake in the world, and if left unattended,
that.
bites will cause a swift death, coupled by the death adder, which has the fastest strike of any venomous snake in the world. Add to that list brown snakes and tiger snakes, and you get a virtual cornucopia of venomous serpentine delight. But the fun doesn't stop there, because Australia is also home to deadly spiders as well, such as the funnel web spider and redback widow,
it.
with the latter resembling a
Seen that
black
so many
widow in many
times.
ways. But maybe these critters aren't enough. Well, the saltwater crocodile might not be venomous, but it is the largest crocodile in the world and is highly aggressive, found
I've seen
throughout
that.
parts of Queensland and the Northern Territory. And if you want even more danger, the coasts of Australia are home to some of the largest populations of great white sharks in the world, along with the deadliest jellyfish around,
Deadliest
the box jellyfish, whose stinging tentacles have caused many to drown because of the agonizing pain the venom delivers. Australia can be a fun place to visit, but potentially a dangerous one as well.
It's not that dangerous as long as you don't threaten the environment and don't threaten animals. You should be fine. If you see a snake, don't step on it. It's as simple as that. Don't be dumb.
Some Australians might hear the term stolen generation and recognize it, but most outside will not, and it is one of those dirty little secrets of Australia's past that people tend to ignore.
Okay, we haven't tend to ignore it. Excuse me. We have not ignored it. We have seen it. The Prime Minister has said something about it. We're all cool. All right, don't.
The
don't
stolen
do that. Don't do that.
generations refers to people of mixed Aboriginal and European descent that were forcibly removed from their Aboriginal families in the belief that they would be better raised as mixed people within mainstream Australian culture and society. This policy ran from 1905 to 1969, and since its abolition has stirred great controversy within Australia.
Like I said, if you watch Rabbit Proof Fence, it explains the stolen generation perfectly. I highly recommend you watch that.
Activists for Aboriginal
Thank you.
rights cite not only government complicity, but direct government approval in the abductions and removals that took place under this policy. Although seemingly motivated by good intentions, such as the best interests of the children involved, the questions raised by the politics of the stolen generation will likely haunt the citizens of Australia for years to come, whatever their descent, and will cast a long shadow on
Yeah.
this otherwise positive and upbeat nation. Australia
have
is
said
one of
sorry
the
to them?
economic powerhouses of the world, with its huge reserves of natural resources, particularly minerals such as gold, lead, iron, zinc, manganese, and many more. But having such natural wealth, among other things, can often be a pitfall. Australia is one of China's biggest trading partners, and that trade relationship overall has been a net positive for Australia, considering the general trajectory of economic growth and progress in China. But it also creates a dangerous dependency. Such trade partnerships are great during booms, but terrible during busts, and it is very likely that something will soon go awry in the Chinese economy, which will have massive consequences for Australia. An invasive
Not really.
species is a species that is transplanted from its home geographical location to a new one, where it is not native. This can have, and often does have, devastating ecological consequences for the native animals, who often cannot adapt to the presence of the new species. Australia might have been the pioneer of invasive species when it introduced the dreaded cane toad. Native to Central and South America, as well as the Caribbean, the cane toad has become Australia's public enemy #1 when it comes to invasive species.
Okay, A, I've never heard of this thing. B, never seen this thing. C, the only reason it's been taken here is because the people who came to our land brought it.
Having been
That's it.
introduced in 1935 by the Bureau of Sugar Experiment Stations in order to attempt to control the growing problem of cane beetles destroying sugarcane crops, the plan backfired massively and is one of the great examples of human bungling. The cane toads quickly spread far beyond what had been intended and are today considered to be one of the greatest threats present to Australia's fragile ecosystem. They have bred like
Never heard of it.
wildfire and are now so common that a frequent teenage quote-unquote sporting event, if you want to call it that, is cane toad clubbing, where you swat cane toads like golf balls. Unfortunately, there probably is no solution to the cane toad menace, and it's something that Australians will just have to live with. Australia has some of the best
Never heard
quality
of
of
it.
life in the world, with both Sydney and Melbourne being ranked among the top 20 cities for the year 2016, a ranking which has been consistent for years, and it's easy to see why. The quality of life comes from the warm to moderate temperatures, a strong economy, and abundance of resources, and as some might argue, a strict immigration policy.
Okay, warm is like 40 degrees Celsius. That is the hottest. The hottest I've ever been around for was 45 degrees Celsius. That is 5 degrees Celsius away from death.
Whatever the ultimate reasons might be, Australia seems to be one of the best places to live in the world. That is, if you don't mind crappy internet.
Okay, I live here. Don't mind the internet. It's not awful. It's not that awful. Now this is the last one I'm going to do. And then I'm going to quickly talk at the end before this all ends. And I put up subtitles just because A, I like subtitles, and B, it's helpful for some people. So if you get annoyed by that, I'm up to it. Yes, it is. It is very uncommon to see people walking around bare feet unless you're at the beach. I like to walk because we're used to sharks. It's always on our TV being like, oh, another shark attack, yeah, whatever. And because people are stupid enough to try and punch a shark. Yes, that happened. Also, if you swim between the two flags, we have two flags, it's the safe zone. You swim out of them, have it playing. So that is all of the videos. I just want to show this last one because I think it's really funny and I think it's absolutely amazing. This is just to wrap up everything. This is kind of like a
My country don't share no borders because of all the waters that surround our sands. Thank God for our resources because they are the sources of our wealthy lands. Don't try to find the capital or fight the animals, you're on your own. Just drive from town to paradise and you'll see why we call Australia home. Not living in Australia when you know we are so happy here. Alright now fellas, yeah. Now what's cooler than a big cold beer? Ice cold. Shake it, 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 shake it like a Polaroid picture. Shake it, 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 shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Australia, man, because you have cool people that do stuff like this. So Australia just means Australia, but it's like the abbreviation. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Basically, I wanted to do this to show you guys that Australia is a really cool place, and also to the factors of we're not that scary. We do have some scary things, but we're not that bad of a country. And if you want me to do more of this, please let me know in the comments below. I want to break down as much stereotype as possible, because majority of it is a lie, and I very much believe that people should know around the world that Australia is normal, just like the country you're in, to the country that's next to you. So I want to embrace that, and as a proud Australian, I'm happy to call this my home. Anyway, Jared Out says, in the next year, sarcasm out, let's bring for very sarcastic hug. Bye bye. Also, please don't take anything I have said offensively, because it is my opinion, and if you find it offensive, then I'm sorry, but no harm or offense